In this lesson, we're going to animate the movement of a camera through space to give the impression that it's moving between objects. In the end, it's going to reveal the text that's on the background layer you can see here. Let's take a look at the finished project. Now you should notice there were two things there. One, the camera moves forward through space, but it's also rotating as it does so. Now it's going to be a little fun. I've taken the liberty of creating a camera and already laying out the entire composition here. You'll notice the camera movement composition. The first thing to do is reveal the camera properties. With the camera one highlighted, I'm going to press P on the keyboard to show me the position property for it. Now, what we need to do is change the camera's Z position. Cameras are automatically three-dimensional objects, so they have an X position, Y position, and Z position value altogether. I'd like to start this animation with the camera at a different position, a little further away. So we're going to change the Z position of the camera to negative 2550. So now you can see a little bit more of these cardboard gates. Since we didn't have the time varies stopwatch turned on, this didn't animate the property, it simply sets it globally for the entire duration of the layer. But if we click the time varies stopwatch now, it's going to lock that value in place as the first keyframe. Move your playhead to 8 seconds, and now I'd like to change the value of the Z position to negative 750. This is going to place it a lot closer to the end of the document. In addition to the position change, we're also going to add a little more movement to this animation by animating the rotation of the camera. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and press R. With my camera layer selected, this will reveal its rotation properties. Now, since cameras are three-dimensional objects, they have an orientation and individual X, Y, and Z rotation properties. The main difference is that orientation creates one keyframe for all three rotation values. X rotation, Y rotation, and Z rotation would allow you to animate them and therefore create individual keyframes for them individually. It all depends on the kind of motion you need. Here, we're simply going to create an orientation animation. So we're going to jump back to the beginning of our timeline. Since we just happen to have a keyframe there, we can use the J key on the keyboard, which allows you to jump from keyframe to keyframe. J moves the playhead left from keyframe to keyframe, while K moves the playhead right from keyframe to keyframe. Together, you can use them to very quickly move and sync different animated properties together. So what we're going to do here is enable the time varies stopwatch for the orientation property while our playhead is at the beginning of the timeline. We're going to want to move a little further down the timeline. Let's move to 3 seconds. With our playhead at 3 seconds, we can change the Z orientation, which is the third property, from 0 to 50. This rotates our camera, and once we see this animated, it should give us a pretty interesting effect. Let's move our playhead again to 6 seconds and change its value to 300. Once again, we're doing this all on the Z value of orientation. Pressing K on the keyboard will allow the playhead to jump to the last keyframe, and this time we're going to set it back to its original value of 0. So now we have 4 keyframes with the orientation property, and the camera will, as it moves, appear to be rotating or trying to bank around the various obstructions that it encounters. Right now, the composition panel is in a dual view mode. We can change that by choosing one view from the Select View Layout menu at the bottom of the composition. This requires a RAM preview. There's really no way around it. You can scrub your playhead to see what's happening, but notice that as you scrub your playhead, it doesn't give you a very good preview of the shadows, highlights, or even really the tones of your artwork. So there's pretty much no way to get around this. You can press the RAM preview button and wait for it to render. Good. So now you can see that the camera's forward motion is combined with its rotation, just creating a more interesting effect.